Good morning, guys. Toolman Tim here. Welcome back to the workshop where we create community, find freedom, promote preparedness, and share success. Today is episode 72 of the Workshop podcast, and it's February 19th, 2022. And you know what the good news is? I did the math this morning. Excuse me. 21 days till spring. 21 days until the time change, and 29 days until spring. I know this was totally unexpected as far as another live stream goes. I can't promise I'll do them every Saturday morning. However, if I'm out and around and have the time, I'm going to pop in and do my Saturday episode live. And if not, you guys will get a pre-recorded one. So, hey, hey, Martinson family, how are you? Nice to see you on this early Saturday morning. Having a cup of coffee, figured, hey, let's do an episode. So the only announcement this week, once again, is if you're not part of the Telegram group, grab that link from the description below and go by, pick it up. It is going to be our official place, if you're a Telegram user, for all of us to interact and share. I may do some live chats. I've been getting some advice from some people on long-term storage of food. It's a great place to bounce ideas around between us. So yeah, anyway, if you're not, and you've always thought about, hey, I wonder what this Telegram thing's all about, I love having an ongoing group chat where we can just chat around and carry on. So, okay. Due date today, no baby yet. Oh boy, that sounds exciting for Martinson family. I love hearing that. So today, guys, if you didn't see the title, totally fine because I sprung it on you at last minute. But today is going to be 10 things we can do instead of worrying about the news or the world or whatever else, because all my American friends, they're really worried about us up here in Canada, and it's so easy to just focus on all the bullshit that is the news right now, and I get lost in it. It just drives me absolutely nuts. And am I disappointed some days? Am I anxious some days? Am I angry a lot of the times? Absolutely. But you know what? There's very, very little that I can do to affect that change. And what I can do is focus on things that I can do, if that makes sense, guys. Because to me, there's so much going on. There's so much good in the world. There's so much bad in the world. And I bet there's not a day goes by that I don't get 5 or 10 messages from my friends in the States are like, oh my God, things are falling apart up there. And you know what? Yeah, some days they're not great as far as what's going on in the Capitol and some of the laws being enacted. But you know what? I'm me, and my responsibility. What do they say? The number one survival rule. I think Jack always says the number one rule of survival is if you're dead, you failed. Well, I also think that if you end up in jail, there's a good chance you failed too, because you can't look after yourself or your family if that happens. So, enough with the bullshit. Here we go. 10 things that me and the wife have been talking about, things we've actually specifically been doing. Chris Dixon's got it right there, my friend. You are only in control of your own world. Circle of concern, circle of control, circle of influence, right? So these are things. Last night, Becky and I decided we have been buying up some 5-gallon buckets, and we thought one of the areas of our preps that's a little bit weak is our long-term dry goods storage. So that's what got me thinking for about the last 10 days. All the concern from so many people, it's well-founded and I appreciate it, but we're going to focus on the positive today. So, and sorry once again about this stupid old voice of mine, guys. I've been fighting with it, but it's working. So number one, start a side hustle. Now, guys, I beat the drum of entrepreneurship all the time. And if you get tired of hearing of it, maybe you're not in the right spot, because I'm telling you, with all the crap that's gone on over the last 2 years, one of the most freeing things that we have done that has allowed us to have more control in our life has been being an entrepreneur and being a serial entrepreneur. We've got a few different business ventures on the go now, but you can always start somewhere, right? Morning, James. How are you? But that's what yes. Martinson family says, if you focus on the distractions, you will fail. Yeah. And you know what? Of course, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole here. And you know what? We'll get to it when I get there. So start on a side hustle. And it doesn't have to be anything in particular. I've probably told this story before, but in the spring here in Alberta, the ditches, when they melt, tend to be full of bottles. And when the oil patch first crashed, I built myself a little shoulder sack with a rifle sling, a piece of solid round tubing, a tarp, some grommets, and I bought myself a couple of pickers from the dollar store. And I would walk a mile or two out, a mile or two back. I'd bag up all the bottles I'd found, and I was making about $30 an hour picking up bottles. Now, it doesn't, I mean, obviously that only works for a short period of time, but that's the beauty of side hustles, you know? There's so many things you can do to just make a little extra money. Maybe, maybe you're like, you know what? I can uh, take one evening a week or a half a day every weekend, and I'm going to put in a bid to do the cleaning at a local hall, for instance. Or maybe I'm going to put in a bid to do the snow removal at a local office. Or I'm going to learn how to do windows, and I'm going to go downtown and I'm going to get 5 businesses that'll guarantee me, or that'll commit to me that I can do their windows once a week, every week, all summer long. That kind of stuff. Because just like I talked about on Thursday night, what could you do with an extra $100 a week? An extra $100 a week is $400 a month, is $4,800 a year, which is basically $5,000 in your pocket. What could you do with that? Notice how when we're focusing on solutions, our eyes brighten up. Mine do anyway. But it's really, really, really hard to focus on all the negative shit when we're focused on doing something positive. So, man, and it doesn't matter for us right now. The latest side hustle that we're working on is a coffee business. We're going to partner with this roastery out of Ottawa. We've been tasting a whole bunch of different brands, blends, and different things. I'm working on a European, a European blend this morning that it's really, really good. This is probably my favorite one so far. And anyway, so we're going to end up eventually having a bunch of really cool branded coffee that's all up to our specs. And hopefully it's going to have a Canadian focus. So within a month or so, but you always got to focus on doing shit, because when I'm not doing shit, that's when my brain's going wiry and saying, oh, look at all this crap. And if I got time to sit down and watch a whole bunch of videos about the news, I got time to get up off my ass and go find a new side hustle because I'm not working hard enough. Number 2, guys, stock up your dry goods. Now, of course, and I'm going to touch on these things a little bit, but shortages are out there. We know that. Perfect. However, the reason we prep, the reason we stock up is so that we don't have to worry about stuff like this. Becky and I had a lot of fun last night. We filled 5-gallon jugs, 5-gallon pails full of dry goods. And you know what? It's probably close to a month's worth of supplies if we need it. Chris says, my grandma pounded into my head that idle hands are the devil's playground. If you're busy, you can't focus on garbage. Ain't that the truth, my friend? And I really apologize for my voice this morning, guys. But yeah, so excuse me, guys. There we go. Stock up on your dry goods. And the cool thing about dry goods is absolutely how cheap they are. I mean, Becky and I went up to, we went out of town, did some grocery shopping a little while ago, and we bought, 8-kilogram bags of rice for about $9 a piece. So 8 kilograms, that's about 20-pound bags of rice. And it was absolutely, I mean, how cheap is that? And how many calories is that? You guys, I got a video coming up breaking down some of the different numbers because I'm a numbers geek when it comes to this stuff. But dry goods, it's so easy, it's so cheap, and it gives you peace of mind. And again, idle hands, blah, blah, blah. We all know about it. But if we are focusing on putting up food, all of a sudden you're like, okay, now I've got a month of dry goods right here. So shortages be damned, we're good for a month. And of course, you've got other food too, but this is our long-term food storage. But this, again, we're being proactive. We're focusing on shit we can do. We're going to talk a lot about getting shit done this morning, guys. James says, I often wonder how one would do by putting an ad or on Craigslist or even posting physical flyers in public commons, simply stating willing to help with chores, errands, and basically be a for-hire assistant. Yeah, I'm telling you, you'd probably find out real quick that you are going to have more business than you'd ever think. And it doesn't take much. Literally, there are people just, I mean, my little town is like, oh my God, how many people do we have here? 1,500. And there could be, well, I'm at the point with my property management where my handyman odd job stuff is going to either have to come to an end or I'm going to have to hire somebody because I am just so busy with my property management that there's not going to be a lot of time left over for it. There's just this little tiny town. There could be 3 or 4 handymen, no problem at all. I'm telling you, it's great, James. I love it. And you know what? Physical flyers sometimes put them up at the local banks, the local libraries, the local post offices, put them in the windows of your gas stations, put them in the local grocery stores, wherever you can. It gets eyes on them. Hey, oh, here I am going off, and Chris says the same thing. Lots of banks and grocery stores allow a community bulletin board to put your flyers. It works well in our little Mayberry. Yeah, it does. Not everything has to be electronic. You put something out there. I put my little flyers up all around town 5 years ago. And you know what? I was in about a year ago to one of my local little gas stations I don't go into all the time. And it was still sitting there on their cute little bulletin board, all just brand new. It made my day. But yeah, so stock up on your dry goods, start a side hustle. Here's another one. And I know this is tough for a lot of us, but turn off the damn news. Now, I don't mean growing up, we always had the 6 o'clock ATV evening news with Steve Murphy, and that's where we got our news. And we tuned in at 6 o'clock, we watched our news, and then we tuned out. Maybe we got the Chronicle Herald in the morning, maybe we didn't, but that was really the only place for the news. Then along came CNN. This is CNN, and the news was on 24/7. And then we got these little things right here. And so now it's not only there, it's just pumping at you all the time, push notifications, whatever. So it is harder to turn off the news. I've got to say, I have this addiction to the news for a long time. Okay, back up real quick. If something really, really bad happens, you're going to hear about it. I know you guys have heard that before, but it's absolutely true. I got home last night and I had a couple of notifications of things that had gone on. And I'm like, oh, okay, what's going on? And yeah, it was bad. I was on the road getting shit done, checking on bank properties, doing property management all day yesterday. I didn't have time to worry about the news. I had time to go out and do things. So, it's not like the old, 1980s where you had to fight over who was going to get up and turn that little dial on the old black and white 13-inch television that mom and dad had. At this point, you got to be a lot more proactive on turning off the news. And that might be, snoozing certain people on social media who share just a constant barrage of negativity, and you know what? It might be important to them, but it's not important to me for the time being. And I need to get my mind in the right spot. So for me, my biggest thing is I'm sitting down, I'm bored. I'm like, oh, not bored. Geez, don't use the word bored, Tim. I'm not bored. I'm sitting down for relaxing at the end of a long day. I hate when my kids say the word bored. But for me, it's almost like those little thumbs just love to type in news.google.com. And it's just been that way for years. And I'll go 6 months without going to the news. And I'm like a crack addict. All of a sudden, I just got to go back because it's like watching a slow motion train wreck. You feel like, you want to get mad about things. You want to listen, So whatever you need to do to turn off the news, just do it. It can be hard. It can be a struggle. For some people, you might be like, whatever. It's not a big deal for me. Well, for me, it is. And so, again, be proactive about eliminating the bad news and also be proactive in doing things that doesn't allow your brain to have space to worry about that kind of stuff. How about this one? Number 4. This is one we started on a little earlier this winter. We're going to finish up soon. Do an inventory of your first aid supplies. If you have the choice between sitting down and, watching the latest video about what Trudeau's done and blah, 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 or, how about instead, Becky and I, it was about, 2-3 weeks ago, we went in the bedroom and we've got these, I love them. They're like gasketed Rubbermaid containers with clamped down handles. I may do a video on this down the road, but I think we picked them up at Staples or Office Supply or something like that. And they're see-through, they're heavy, or they're made to hold a lot of material. So we just put them up, we dump them out on the bed, and we go through and we make a list. We're like, okay, Well, we're short on cold medicine, so let's add that to the list. We've got lots of cough drops, so we're good there. Gauze and band-aids are good. You just work your way through. And then we make a list, and then we tend to, whatever we need, we try to buy two of them. And quite often we buy the generic brands because they're cheap. And for people who are in Alberta, if you have an IDA grocery store, they've got a really cool, I think it's buy 8 store brand products and get one free. So when I'm stocking up, I go in there and I buy as many as I can. And then I always get the most expensive one on my free punch ticket. But again, proactive. Fill in your empty time so that you're not letting all that negativity bounce around in your head. And again, when you're building up supplies, so if you do get sick, or if a cold or a virus or whatever happens to go through, like I'm dealing with right now, then you've got the independence, the self-sufficiency to deal with it locally. And that's what you're doing. You're stocking yourself up so that you're insulated from all the concerns of the world. Because if you couldn't or didn't want to leave your home for a month, you've got yourself covered. And again, you're doing something good for your family. Number 5, learn a new skill. This is a good one. This is one of the things that gets me out of bed in the morning. I love to learn new things. There's just something, I don't know, it brightens my eyes up. It gets my brain going. I'll be learning new things till the day I die, guys. I just can't not help doing that. And again, talking about the dry goods that we did last night, I learned for the first time how to attach gamma lids to the top of 5-gallon buckets. It's not difficult, but it was a new skill that I wanted to master. We'd never worked with Mylar bags before. Becky and I had a great time. The first one we sealed up, we left a little too much air in it. So we're like, oh, how do we fix that? Becky's like, simple, cut it open. They're resealable. I was like, geez, I never thought of that. So together we had a lot of fun doing it. We learned how to seal them with a hair straightener, and it worked great. And there's something that just brightens your spirit, brightens your mood, gets you going, gets those creative juices flowing. The best cure for laziness is learning something, in my mind anyway, because sometimes you've been working all day. For me, yesterday, I woke up, it snowed again. I woke up this morning and there's freezing rain again. It just hasn't stopped. And so for me, it doesn't matter how tired I am. If I throw myself into learning something new, I feel better. Hey, Chicken Hawk, nice to see you. Hawk says, I try to learn one new thing a day. Even something small helps. Absolutely. There's so many, and it's such simple little things and things you can learn from your kids. When my girls come home from school, sometimes Charlie tells me something she learned, and I'm like, I didn't know that. Or this morning, I was reading an article about spontaneous cold welding in space. Had no idea it was a thing. So apparently 2 pieces of metal that are absolutely the same, so 2 pieces of steel, 2 pieces of copper, if they've been kept out of any moisture or dampness, if they're in space, because it's a vacuum, the atoms and molecules in each material get confused and fuse themselves together. Never heard of it before. A really cool, look it up. It's called space welding or cold welding. I got to learn something new every day. How about number 6? And this is one that absolutely everybody will get excited about. Go to the range. I'm telling you right now, it's something I haven't done in a bit, but every time I take my kids out there and we fire a bunch of lead down, how can you not get that stupid little goofy smile on your face and think, everything's going to be okay? I mean, what are you doing? You're practicing hand-eye coordination. You're practicing self-defense skills. You're empowering the next generation to look after themselves. You're teaching them skills. And geez, you're just firing a bunch of pew-pews down the range, and you're hearing them ting off the metal plates. There is nothing more satisfying and more relaxing in my mind than going out to the range. Work on your, if you just want to tie things together and get out and you're like, you know what? It's been a while. I need to improve my marksmanship. Go out and do it. Or I just need to go out and blow off some stress. And everybody's like, oh, but ammo's so expensive and shortages and blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? If we lived our entire lives like that, we'd never fire a round, because it seems like just about every 3 years, there's an ammo shortage, which is or isn't a thing. And everybody's like, oh, I can't fire this. I can't. Well, you know what? Eventually we got to get out there and fire some shit downrange. So just get out and do it, have some fun, blow off some steam, and do what you want to do. Number 7, do something physically strenuous. And I was talking to James actually, I was listening to James the other day over on PBN, and he does, on the membership side, he does Prepper Fitness and Health. And he was saying how it's so much harder to worry about things when you're breaking a sweat or getting just, wore down physically. And for me, when I go out in the mornings and blow snow and walk for a couple of hours in minus 30, I feel great. When I come home, am I tired? Sure I am. But you know what? Mentally, I'm relaxed. There's something about it going for a walk. So one of my favorite things is to just dig a great big dirt pile, put headphones in, and just work on, doing some landscaping for hours on end. Break a great big sweat. For us up here in the land of minus 40, it can be a little harder to break a sweat outdoors in the wintertime. But boy, when you do it, don't you feel good? And I'm, of course, preaching to myself here as much as I am anybody else, because it's something that's probably one of the areas that I lack the most, is just getting out, because I'm always doing shit. But like yesterday, for instance, most of my day was spent in the truck. But instead of taking my snowblower with me, I decided to take my shovel with me, so that at each property, I had to shovel by hand. It gives me a little bit of a workout. It helps exercise the brain, whatever it takes. Just break a sweat, get going, and absolutely. All right. Number 8, how about plan a trip? Now, this can look like a whole lot of different things to you guys, but for us, Becky and I love to travel. It's become very difficult the last couple of years. So what we've ended up doing is, we've decided we'll go locally. So we go to one of the, to Edmonton or Red Deer or Calgary, a city that's 2, 3, 4 hours away, something close enough that we can go and just, there's something about changing your settings, changing your perspective, that all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, guess what? I can do this. And you get your mind off things. You just go away and have fun. Soak in a hot tub, go swimming, go out for a meal, go down the water slide, go do some shopping, whatever it happens to be. Get out, plan a trip. Or, if you want to, like us, we're going to try to go away to, well, no, we're not trying. We are going to Tennessee in April for Nicole Sauce's spring workshop. We are so excited about that, guys. So whatever it is, if you need to, plan a trip to just change your situation, get outside and look for, enjoy yourself. Because to me, that's one of the best ways to just get your mind off of things, is to travel. And also, I always find that whenever I travel, I don't know, my family and I, we just have so much fun together. I never feel closer than when we're sharing hours together in a car or going away for a weekend, whatever it is. It's just a lot of fun. Number 9, this one's similar, but it's more focused on your relationship. Go on a date. Now, if you guys didn't catch last week's Fireside Freedom, take a minute, go back and check out, well, not right now, when we're done this episode. Check out that episode. That was one of my favorite ones to do. I basically get to spend an hour and a half bragging my wife up, because I love my wife. But you know what? We're doers. We're get shit doners. Is that right? Yeah. So, my wife runs a daycare. I run my all seasons maintenance business, my content creation. We're working on a coffee business. We're working on picking up a couple of rental properties. So we're busy people. But sometimes that busyness gets your brain in a bad spot, because you're just like, oh, I'm doing so much. I'm so stressed out. So what we've tried to do, and it doesn't always work, but we try to go once a week on a date. And we have a lot of fun. Normally it's to Lloyd, which is about an hour away. We'll, whether maybe we'll take the dogs. We take the dogs up for a haircut or something, or we'll go out for a meal, or we'll do grocery shopping. And as much as I hate going to Walmart, I hate going to Superstore, I do my best to enjoy it, because it's my wife and I. We spend the whole day together. We solve the world's problems driving up, driving back. We go out for wings to a restaurant. Or this last time we went to Denny's for breakfast, it was awesome. We just had a wonderful time. And there's something, again, that helps refresh your spirit and refresh your brain when you take some time to just do something with your significant other. And for those of you who have younger kids, I know we were there. We've raised 5 of them. It can be tough, but try to figure out a way to get away even once a month because, man, it helps. Okay, number 10. And this is an ongoing thing, but for me, there's something it helps the perspective, and that is set goals. So if you're focusing on all the shit that's happening around you and you think, okay, guess what? The world's going to hell. Why bother? Well, you know what? You can focus on that, or you can focus on what you can do. And if you have a goal, that means you have a reason to live. It means you have a reason to get out of bed in the morning. It means you have a reason to get out there and support your family. So these goals could be so many things, and you can tie them to everything else we talked about this morning. But for me, one of our goals is a successful coffee business. So that gives me something to work towards. Another goal this year was to have every episode for my episodes of my podcast to hit 1,000 listeners every single episode. And you know what? We're just about 25% the way there. That gets me out of bed in the morning. That gets me down here at 8:30 on a Saturday morning with a hoarse voice recording this content for you guys because I friggin' love doing it. What else? Growing your business could be a goal. Just going on a date every single week could be a goal. But set those goals, get them put together, have an idea. And for me, there's something about having something to look forward to work toward every day that helps keep that focus on the positive. It helps us get our ass out there and get shit done. Okay, guys, so what do you think? Chris says, this is a good one. I used to be a terrible goal setter. Had to break it down and start super small and took off from there. So the thing about goals have to be, okay, if my goal is I want to be a multi-billionaire, well, you know what? Good friggin' luck. You're going to get not distracted. You're going to get discouraged really quick because you're like, oh, well, I put 35 cents in my change jar today. I'm almost there. Oh, never mind. I'm going to give up. And that's why I started setting goals instead of New Year's resolutions, because goals are long-term. Goals have to be, what are they? Simple, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-sensitive. SMART goals. I can't believe I remembered all them off the top of my head. But that is the key. I talk about how to eat an elephant, although I'm sure PETA would be upset with me, but how to eat an elephant one bite at a time. How do you attain great, big, hairy, audacious goals? By setting a whole bunch of little goals all along the way. 1% in improvement every single day over the year compounds to a whole bunch of improvement. So if you're listening to this, or if you're in the audience today, thanks for dropping in. The big thing I want to know is, okay, yes, there's a whole bunch of bullshit going on in the entire country and in the entire world, and there's so much to worry about, but what are you choosing to do instead of worrying about it? What things are you doing right now? What side hustle are you starting? What goals are you setting? What preps are you building? What skills are you learning? It doesn't matter. I want to hear about it because that's what gets me out of bed in the morning. That's what excites me. I love hearing back from you guys on just the things that you're doing. And I get messages across all the social platforms a couple of times a week at least. I got one the other day from a guy, and it was just awesome. He was it inspires me. And it was something just so simple about, I recommended a product for cleaning the drains, and he used it, and it absolutely worked for him, and he just loved it. And I just love it. It's so nice. It makes what I do worth it. So anyway, guys, that's it for me this morning. I'd normally stick around and chat a little bit longer, but, well, tomorrow night, John Dowie's going to be on from Dowie Farms, talking about starting a microgreens business. I'm really excited about that interview. I'll let him do most of the talking. You'll love it. He's an awesome guy. Had a great conversation with him about a month ago, and I'm really looking forward to chatting with him. Beyond that, preparedness on Thursday. And yeah, drop in, check out the Telegram group, guys, if you're not a member of Telegram yet, because that seems to be my favorite place to interact with everybody. And it's kind of, not off the grid, but it's a little less censored and it's a little more private. And it's just a place where we can carry on conversations and enjoy ourselves. So, guys, stay positive. Turn off that goddamn news. Stop focusing on the negative things. Focus on the shit you can do. Focus on the shit you can get done. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great friggin' week.